And tonight on the Daily Wrap, less than 24 hours ago, the first major debate of 2016. The campaign season was held. Who were the big winners? Who were the big losers? We'll break it all down for you. Plus, we hit the streets of New York City to find out what New Yorkers thought of last night's festivities. This is the Daily Wrap, live from New York City. And welcome to the show. I'm Joe Concha, joined by my co-host Rick Unger. I'm exhausted. I'm not used to staying up that late.
It was, and then I, of course, had to stay up and watch the coverage after. So,
of course,
you know,
1 a.m. I went till.
I think I went a little later, actually. But you know, I love nights like that, so that's my thing.
Best debate you've ever seen?
No, not the best debate I've ever seen, but it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
It was an enjoyable
Most entertaining debate you've ever seen?
That may be.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to think about that. I still think the best, you're all going to laugh at my age, but I still remember the Nixon-Kennedy debates when I was 10 years old.
Really?
And that was the best debate.
I thought you were going to
say,
I thought you were going to say Lincoln Douglas.
No.
No.
Okay. No. I missed that one.
Right. It was right there and I had to take it.
Washington didn't have to debate.
To the not-so-geriatric right. She is America's pundit and a Philadelphia attorney. Heather Hansen is back. And finally, he's a speaker, author, patriot, and former Navy SEAL. Carl Higbie, welcome.
Thank you for having me back.
Tremendous tie, by the way, Joseph A. Bank.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the same one.
We do
almost
commercial
wore it.
now? Yeah.
Just saying.
I'd
Let's
like
get
to
right
say
to the
this.
Daily Download. And last night, sparks flew at the first GOP presidential debate as 24 million people tuned in. Let's get right into it. Who was the big winner, Unger?
Two big winners, Carly Fiorina.
Correct.
And I'm going to point out, a little pat there, that I had said on this show that the big winner may come out of the early debate. The other big winner was Fox News.
Fox News.
Yeah, I thought the moderators did an absolutely spectacular job. They were asking questions that had any other television network asked the same questions, they'd be accused of being biased towards the Democrats.
Too tough on Republicans.
Yeah, and I was really, really impressed with the questions they asked. Good for them. Fox also won because they got, what, 25 million viewers.
Yeah, just off the charts.
Unbelievable.
Most watched primary debate of all time. Carl Higbie, did you think the questions were fair?
I think they were harsh. I don't think that, I don't want to say that my man Trump was treated unfairly because I think he needed to be harsh. But what I didn't like about the moderators is they spent almost 40% of the time talking. And
31 minutes.
Yeah, I think they spent way too much. I think they should have given it all to the candidates.
I'm not sure that's, if you're going to, I take your point, but I don't know if that can be avoided. They're asking the questions.
Yeah, when you have 10 candidates and you have 3 moderators, that 31-minute line I heard and I tried to put it into context, and then I went back and actually watched it again because I'm a loser, and saw that there wasn't really a rambling question that was in there.
Like but there was a lot of compound questions, which, so there are 2 questions in one, and then you don't get the answer. First of all, it takes up a lot of time. But second of all, you don't know what they're answering, and you're not getting a specific answer to the specific question.
Well, so many of them didn't answer anyhow.
Well, that's right, which is what they try to avoid, but it makes it a lot easier to avoid when you've got 2 questions at once.
Who are your winners and losers, quickly?
I thought Rubio had the best policy answers, and I thought, of course, Carly took the night.
Of course. Carl?
I think Trump took it and Carly took it.
Yep, well, Carly is the consensus. I had Mr. Rubio winning at the not kiddie table, I guess you call that the main course. Okay, let's bring in Newsmax contributor John Fund in Washington, D.C. Mr. Fund, what did you think of the debate last night? Your winner and your loser to start.
Well, let's celebrate the fact that 25 million Americans watched a political debate. And I think we had 3 takeaways. Carly Fiorina is a rising star. She'll probably be in one of the main debates soon enough. Marco Rubio is perfectly positioned should Jeb Bush falter to inherit a lot of his support. And Donald Trump, I think the Roman candle is starting to fizzle a little bit. I learned things about Donald Trump I didn't know. I did not know that he still admires single-payer government health care in Canada and Great Britain. Given how badly it works in those countries, that is a triumph of hope over experience.
John, it's Rick Unger. I actually agree with much of what you just said. We'll set aside how well the healthcare works. But here's my question. If Carly Fiorina and most of us sitting at the table here agreed with you that she was the big winner of the night, for her to get into the next grown-up debate, who gets kicked out?
Well, I think it's going to be a tight call. I think that Rand Paul could go. Chris Christie helped himself a little bit in the debate, but the base of support is not nearly as loyal as Rand Paul's. And John Kasich, even though John Kasich had a great debut and got a lot of attention that he wouldn't otherwise have gotten, you know, the debate numbers are very, very close, margin of errors and everything. All of those three would be on the bubble potentially to drop off.
Who's up?
John?
Yes.
Yeah, just as far as Kasich is concerned, what was your thoughts on his answer around gay marriage? That seemed to get some big applause. I know it was in Cleveland. I know he's a popular governor. But that seems to be getting a lot of positive press today as far as how GOP members should answer that question, saying he doesn't agree with it, but he went to a wedding and he loved the person that he went to the wedding for, and we shouldn't dismiss them based on their sexual orientation.
To the extent that they're millennial voters in Republican primaries, I think he helped himself. But to call his view old-fashioned and to justify it just on that basis, I think left a lot of people saying, is that the only reason you support traditional marriage? It seemed a little pandering.
All right, well, let's go through some of the highlights from last night. Trump made a pretty bold declaration after being asked if he had proof Mexico was sending over criminals.
I cannot say I have to respect the person that if it's not me, the person that wins. If I do win and I'm leading by quite a bit, that's what I want to do. I can totally make that pledge. If I'm the nominee, I will pledge I will not run as an independent.
Okay, so Trump did dodge the question, though. So, Heather, what did you make of his answer?
Well, I think that he lost. You know, there was a big booze in the audience when he said that, you know, I won't guarantee that I won't run as a third party because, you know, the Republicans, that would be a major problem, obviously.
Major. It would hand the election to whoever the Democratic nominee is.
Right. And so I think that, you know, I think it's consistent with what he's always said. And as he said this morning on one of the shows that I was watching, he just wanted some negotiating power. He looks at this all as a game and not, I don't think, as a really part of the political process. I don't think that he necessarily understands what his answers mean to those who are tuned into the political process. And I think that he did realize when he said that and got boozed that it wasn't the world's best answer.
Well, he said they don't like me so much. I got a question for John.
Sure.
John, what did you make of the fact there were some questions about defense, and a lot of the candidates had something to say about how we should be increasing our troop strength and our Navy, et cetera. But did it strike you as odd that nobody in the context of defense even mentioned cybersecurity, which I think is probably our greatest threat to our national security?
Well, there was the discussion around Scott Walker's famous answer that the Russians and the Chinese know more about Hillary's email server.
Yeah, but it wasn't a serious conversation about cybersecurity and how we're behind.
That's the problem. I think we need debates that are focused just on foreign policy, just on domestic policy. This was a round robin, spreading across all the issues. I also think that Lindsey Graham distinguished himself in the first debate for being the most hawkish I've ever seen a presidential candidate be. Really downcast and dour.
Interesting.
Carl?
John, it's Carl Higbee. Where do you see Bush coming out of this as?
Bush was vanilla, meh. I think Bush is waiting for Trump to decline a little bit in the polls. Then the Bush machine, the Bush money will roll in and roll over people who aren't named Donald Trump and are still challenging him. That's his strategy. I think it's a little too cautious for him, though.
Well, speaking of Jeb Bush, the governor was asked if his last name would be a problem.
And I'm going to run hard, run with heart, and run to win. I'm going to have to earn this. Maybe the bar is even higher for me. That's fine. I've got a record in Florida. I'm proud of my dad, and I'm certainly proud of my brother. In Florida, they call me Jeb because I earned it.
And it's his name, so that's what they should call him. Let me ask you a question. Can he get past the brand name of Bush?
I don't think that's his problem right now. I really don't. I think he's got problems, but it's his own doing. He did not perform particularly well last night. He had some good substance and some good substantive answers, but he just seems to be foo-fooing all the time. And he's not helping himself, but not because of his name.
John, only 15 seconds. Your thoughts on Jeb Bush's performance last night seemed uninspiring to me.
Jeb is not the most passionate of candidates. He's a policy wonk. And if you don't like it, you're probably not going to vote for him. But is he qualified to be president? He's proven in Florida he's a great governor.
Okay. John Fund, thanks for joining us from Washington. We appreciate it. So we want to know, who do you think won the debate? Go to newsmaxpolls.com and cast your vote. Coming up next, more on the debate. This is the Daily Wrap.
And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. As we continue to discuss last night's debate, we still want to know what you liked. Go to newsmaxtv.com/comments and let us know. We might read your comments just a bit later in the show. So let's get back to some of the highlights. Here is Florida Senator Marco Rubio after he was asked if he's ready to occupy the White House.
This election cannot be a resume competition. It's important to be qualified, but if this election is a resume competition, then Hillary Clinton's going to be the next president, because she's been in office and in government longer than anybody else running here tonight.
It's a pretty good answer to give, although I do have to question the accuracy of it. If you actually look at how long Hillary Clinton's held elective office, I'm not sure he's true. But one of the best highlights was when Senator Rand Paul and Governor Chris Christie got into it over NSA spying.
I want to collect more records from terrorists, but less records from innocent Americans. The Fourth Amendment was what we fought the revolution over. John Adams said it was the spark that led to our war for independence. And I'm proud of standing for the Bill of Rights, and I will continue to stand for the Bill of Rights.
And listen, Senator, you know, when you're sitting in a subcommittee just blowing hot air about this, you can say things like that. When you're responsible for protecting the lives of the American people, then what you need to do is to make sure that you use the system the way it's supposed to work.
Well, that was clearly one of the most enjoyable moments of the night. Question is, Joe, did one of them win that little debate?
I thought that Rand Paul did only because Chris Christie had to evoke 9/11, because we didn't have it in this part of the clip. But Rand Paul says, "Hey, why don't you go give Obama another hug?" And then Chris Christie reflexively says, "I remember the hugs I gave to people after 9/11. It's like, how'd you make that jump? And I just don't like when people evoke that day,
and
you
Christie,
know, as to put them above other people.
And
so
Christie did it in a bit of a, I don't want to say nefarious way, but dishonest way, because he told us that he was appointed to his job as U.S. Attorney the day before. He wasn't. He actually got a call from the White House the day before to say that they were beginning the 6-week vetting period.
Yeah,
so he wasn't actually appointed the U.S. Attorney. But Heather, what did you think of that?
Listen, I think that's a lot of nitpicking against Chris Christie, and his point to me was well made in that, you know, it's easy to say these things until you get to a position where the secrets that are being hidden because we're protecting everything are now impacting our ability. I mean, you know, with the cyber strike this week by, we think, perhaps Russia, the China strikes most recently, this is becoming an issue that is not black or white, and I think that for myself, I tend to fall on Christie's side of it.
Carl?
I think as far as likability in the general public, Christie won that exchange, but I agree with Rand Paul. Fourth Amendment, get out of my way, get out of my phone, get out of my internet, get out of my computer. And you know what? Tragedy is the price of liberty. So if they can't decipher which ones are terrorists, I mean, how many terrorists have been stopped by all those NSA tapping and wiretaps and reading emails? Virtually none.
Well, I gotta say, I actually think if you take it in context of the entire debate, I think Christie came out ahead, but only because it was more of Rand Paul being so petulant.
Yeah.
And he was petulant all night long. He kind of came across as a crybaby.
Like a whiny.
Yeah, I mean, I was really very surprised. I mean, he came into the debate in weak position, and I think he's probably out of it now.
Well, his entire campaign was just indicted, so he's under a lot of stress.
There is that, yes.
But that's also just debate style. You know, some people are very good at it. I expected more from Ted Cruz because he came from that background. But I think that's style.
Okay. Mike Huckabee, of course, played a major role. He was asked about transgender people serving in the military. Here's what he said.
Defense Secretary Ashton Carter recently directed the military to prepare for a moment when it is welcoming transgender persons to serve openly. As Commander-in-Chief, how would you handle that?
The military is not a social experiment. The purpose of the military is kill people and break things. It's not to transform the culture by trying out some ideas that some people think would make us a different country and more diverse.
Now, I don't know if I agree with Huckabee or not. Actually, I probably disagree with what he said there. However, he started off answering the question honestly. He then veered off and started talking about how he didn't think the military should be giving surgeries to people who were transgender, to which I'm thinking, well, that had nothing to do with the question. Carl, I know you have a strong point of view on this.
Look, if you can't figure out your gender, I don't want to fight alongside you. I definitely don't want to give you a gun. I think the transgender thing does not belong in the military. To be honest, I don't think Don't Ask, Don't Tell should have been repealed, but, you know, It's here now. I just think that this is something that he hit the nail right on the head, and most of the military firmly agrees with him on that. But you're right; he should have just stopped right after he said that because it was flawless.
Can't transgender people kill people and break things?
Yeah, but it adds another level of scrutiny. There's already such political.
What do you mean another level? What kind of scrutiny? It's a person with a gun breaking things and whatever.
So which bathroom do they use? Which barracks do they stay in?
Boy, that's really the first thing on my mind when I'm worried about fighting a successful war.
Well,
what bathroom do they use? Build a bathroom.
When we were overseas, we had women whining about not having enough space for men. So we had to build separate tents and take away from our combat missions in order to build more tents for the women. Look, combat zone.
Well, now they're already there.
Yeah, well, combat zone, you have to live. Well, now they're not because they were in Iraq. But you have to live amongst the people. And if you have to add a third gender, I'm sorry, that's.
Okay, last but not least, some say this woman was the big winner. This woman? I'm not sure I would have written it that way. Here's her response to Donald Trump leading in the polls.
Well, I don't know. I didn't get a phone call from Bill Clinton before I jumped in the race. Did any of you get a phone call from Bill Clinton? I didn't. Maybe it's because I hadn't given money to the foundation or donated to his wife's Senate campaign. Here's the thing that I would ask Donald Trump in all seriousness. He is the party's front runner right now, and good for him.
See, now here's the thing. Before last night, I would have said, that's not entirely fair. They're friends. But last night, I learned that Donald Trump had to pay Hillary Clinton to come to his wedding. Now, would any of you quickly have admitted it if you had to pay people to come to your wedding? Quick, Joe.
I didn't have to pay anybody. They begged to come. It was on the ocean.
Kind of what you would expect, right?
Yeah.
All right. Who do you think won the debate? We want to know. Go to newsmaxpolls.com and cast your vote. Coming up next, were the moderators too tough on Trump last night? I don't think so. We'll discuss that next, so be sure to stay tuned.
And welcome back to Daily Wrap. Let's check in with our own Steve Malzberg, the king of the county, and see what he has planned for tonight. Stevie!
What the heck went on at the Fox presidential debate yesterday? We'll talk about it. Dick Morris will be here. Did Megyn Kelly and company overstep their bounds? We'll also talk about it with two panels, John Zogby on one, Larry Elder, David Swerdlick on the other, and Ralph Peters will be here to give his unique take on all the candidates. It's all straight ahead right after the Daily Wrap. Don't go away.
Looks fun. I think I'm going to just stick around here and watch Malzberg instead of waiting for the DVR part, right? Exactly. Sit in studio, exactly. Anyway, throughout the entire show, we've been asking you who won last night's debate. Let's see what y'all think. With 63% of the vote, we have Donald Trump winning. Look at that. Wow. Boy, that is a landslide. Jeb Bush, only 1%. Okay, I'm surprised he even got one. Scott Walker, who was kind of invisible, didn't really hurt himself, help himself, or didn't really make any kind of impression. 1%. Mike Huckabee, 4. Carson, 5. A lot of people talking about him today, and so on. Can we put that back up real quick, guys? I just wanted to go through that a little more. Ted Cruz, 9. Marco Rubio, 8. Rand Paul with 0.0. Christie as well. That's interesting. They fought each other and couldn't get 1%. And John Kasich with 3%. Okay, the poll is still open, so be sure to cast your vote at newsmaxpolls.com. All right, following the debate, social media exploded with complaints about Fox News on the way they handled Donald Trump from the very first question. As you saw, Bret Baier asked the panel if they didn't win the nomination, would they run as an independent? Trump was the only one who raised his hand.
Is there anyone on stage, and can I see hands, who is unwilling tonight to pledge your support to the eventual nominee of the Republican Party and pledge to not run an independent campaign against that person? Again, we're looking for you to raise your hand now. Raise your hand now if you won't make that pledge tonight. Mr. Trump.
That was tremendous. You ever see Anchorman, where Ron Burgundy says, that got out of hand fast. Things really escalated quickly. That started off things. What's that?
Where'd you get a hand grenade?
Yeah, right. Rick killed a guy. Yeah. But that started off things, and I looked at my wife and I said, this is going to be awesome.
Yep.
And it was.
Well, I know who wrote that question. Roger Ailes.
Roger Ailes wrote that question. Why do you think that?
Because it is absolutely the question that he's concerned about. He likes having Donald Trump, I think, on driving ratings, as he clearly is. Absolutely. Lots to talk about, but he doesn't want Trump to be the nominee of the party.
Interesting. You agree with that, Heather?
I think a lot of people were thinking of that question. I saw it on Twitter before the debate. So I think that while Roger may have had some influence, I think it's a question a lot of people wanted the answer to. And I think a lot of people didn't like the answer that he did.
Fair question to start, Carl?
Trump had to do it because if he didn't, the GOP would probably try to push him out, and the fact that he left that door open makes the GOP say, oh no, we better play nice with this guy.
As he said, looking for leverage. Okay, Trump was also asked if he was anti-woman.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
That was tremendous. So, was that called for? Did Fox treat Trump unfairly with that question?
Absolutely not. And you know what? He got a good laugh on Rosie O'Donnell. I understand that. But we didn't play the substance of it, where she continued and said, no, that's not the only time you said that. And his response was, I haven't got time to be politically correct. Let me tell you something. I know I'm the old guy, but when I grew up, we didn't have the phrase politically correct, and we didn't think about politically correct. But if I ever called a woman or a man or anybody else the names that Donald Trump called these people in writing on Twitter, I'd have been either sent to my room if I was still that young, grounded, or whatever. It's not about political correctness. That has nothing to do with PC. It has everything to do with being a really rude, offensive human being. If that's what we want in the White House in America, then vote for this man.
Carl, I think since he's said these things publicly, I thought it was tough but fair. But that said, I thought Trump's answer was pretty good in terms of him saying, look, we got bigger issues to worry about. We don't have to worry about tone right now. And I thought that he acquitted himself pretty well with what was a very, very difficult question to answer.
It was a very difficult question, but I think the most difficult question he had all night was when Chris Wallace said, "You've declared bankruptcy 4 times. Would you drive our country in the same thing?" If I was Trump, I would have said, "Look, Babe Ruth had one of the worst batting averages of anybody in the Hall of Fame. Yet nobody talks about his strikeouts. Nobody talks about his errors. Everybody talks about his home run. I've hit over 100 home runs as a businessman. I've had 4 strikeouts." I'll take those odds any day, and if you can give me a businessman up here with that kind of record, I'll take it.
Actually, that would have been a much better answer. You're right.
Maybe I should run for president.
Well, I got to tell you something. I actually saw the gentleman who was the mayor of Atlantic City at that time, and he had a very different take. He talked about all the small businesses that even before Trump went broke, he didn't pay.
Yeah.
And how badly they got hurt and how they got pushed out of business by him being unscrupulous.
Overall, we could agree that Trump's been a successful businessman.
Yeah, at other people's expense, apparently.
Yep. Okay, sorry, we got to go, Heather. We'll talk to you more in a moment. Was Fox too hard on Donald Trump? Go to NewsmaxTV.com right there, /comments, and let us know. Coming up next, we'll find out what New Yorkers thought about last night's debate. Interesting. Stay tuned.
And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. We've been asking you throughout tonight's show, who do you think won last night's debate? Well, our own Nora DeBroder hit the streets of New York to find out what they thought.
Hi, I'm Nora DeBroder for Newsmax TV. So who won the GOP debates last night? Let's ask the people of New York City and see what they think. So Bill, you watched the GOP debates last night.
I did.
Did you watch both, the 5 o'clock and the main debate?
I did watch both of them, yes.
What did you think?
I thought Carly clearly shined in the first one. I think she proved herself, and I'd be surprised to see if she's not in the top 10 in the next poll that comes out.
I thought it was pretty good. I wish that the moderators pushed the candidates. They really answer the questions instead of just getting in their 1-minute sound bites.
The person responding would bypass the answer, bypass the question, and kind of talk about their own agenda or whatever, their own accomplishments or their own resume, but really wouldn't answer the question, so it's kind of frustrating.
The second debate, the primetime debate, I think was very interesting. I think Kasich was probably Bush, Christie. Those guys did themselves pretty well last night. I think Rubio really stepped up, but I think Rubio, Kasich, and Christie did very well. Rand Paul, I think, had some trouble. I think he's out of line with a lot of GOP primary voters on a lot of important issues, and I think they saw that last night.
I love Rubio, so I was in favor of him. I think he did fine, and he's enough of a contender that he'll survive no matter what. But I didn't think he shined last night. He was good, but not great.
Trump was very much, he was kind of just being very, very honest and kind of outlandish, which is kind of his style, I guess.
Who do you think won?
I believe Donald Trump.
And why do you say that?
His ideas. I personally love his ideas. He doesn't have that politician type talk. He's straightforward and honest, and that's what we need, actually. I'm tired of the Bushes now, so I'm really hoping Trump just takes it all.
Ted Cruz was excellent. I think on electability, he has trouble. Ben Carson, I thought, was the real winner last night. He came across as understated, smart, funny. Started off a little nervous, but he got his sea legs. I thought that he was the winner.
Oh, I think John Kasich won that debate, at least in terms of his candidacy. I don't know if you can pick any certain person out that won. Donald Trump certainly lost, that's for sure. I don't think he helped his cause out at all.
In terms of who came out on top, I don't really know.
The guy with the sunglasses is now hosting the show, apparently.
Well,
Wolf of Wall Street.
He gave some tremendous analysis.
Yes,
He'll be
he
on
got more
Monday's show.
airtime than you.
Well, that's probably a good thing in some way. So what are we talking about?
What are we talking about? I don't know what we're talking about. Would you guys take? I mean, it's New York, so it's probably an unfair place to go to ask about the Republican debate.
You know what I wanted to go back to is the question about whether or not Fox asked fair questions.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that interested me is that for Bush, they were personal. You did this, you did this. They never said to Rubio, you know, you've been known to have a problem balancing your home budget.
That's true.
There was no personal question, so I don't think it was unfair. I think the questions were fair, but I think the questions for Trump were personal, and the questions for the others were policy. And I found that interesting and definitely slanted.
You know what I thought was unfortunate, I have to say? The one question where they brought God into it.
Yeah, for
you know,
Kasich.
they asked that question, and they started on Kasich, and they went a few people, and I'm sitting there thinking, I can't wait to hear what Trump says about this.
I can see
and
Trump
it didn't
get to him.
Yeah, it didn't get to him. I was like, oh, come on, man.
Well,
So I thought that was unfortunate.
Too far right on that. They were, oh, well, God led me the way, and so people lose them at that.
Well,
you know, I think
at least nobody said God told me to run this time.
Either way, I think we're all in agreement that Carly Fiorina will jump into the top 10.
Absolutely.
Well, it just depends who has to get kicked out to do it.
Well, I was about to say that will probably be Rand Paul. And
I'm not so sure.
Really? Well,
He
somebody's
has
got to
a lot
drop.
of supporters.
Yes,
I know.
Chris
For her to
Christie, I
get
think, will
there.
drop as well.
Ben
Might be
Carson?
Christie. No, I think they like Carson. I do. I mean, I don't know that they like him as president, but they like him enough
He'll stay in
that
the
he'll
top
stay
10.
in the top
Yeah.
10.
I think Ben Carson absolutely is the next Surgeon
Surgeon
General of
General.
the United States
As
if
well,
a Republican
could
wins.
be. All right, okay, this is not surprising, obviously, but Donald Trump ruled Twitter last night as he was the most mentioned candidate during the debate. What do we got here? After Donald, the most mentioned GOP debate candidates, on Twitter were Dr. Ben Carson, Rand Paul, Mike Huckabee, and John Kasich. Something a little surprising is that the most tweeted moment during the debate happened during the Rand Paul and Chris Christie's little mini debate over NSA spying and 9/11. What do we got here? Top tweeted moments of the GOP debate, Chris Christie and Rand Paul debate, 9/11 hugs in the NSA. I don't know. You know what? One thing that I heard was that the person who was getting the most attention was Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Well, Bernie Sanders was live tweeting the debate, much better than Hillary Clinton, who was apparently out with the Kardashians during
she's
the
taking a
debate,
selfie.
which
Yeah.
is beyond conversation.
And Kanye.
I mean, it is such a sense of entitlement to think that you don't have to sit at home and watch this debate, but you'd rather go out and take selfies with Kanye. I could. It's just unbelievable. But Bernie Sanders was live tweeting the debate and did get a lot of attention. And at the end, he live tweeted something to the effect that they haven't talked about these issues. So he was at least paying attention.
Okay. Who do you think won the debate, folks? Go to NewsmaxPolls.com and cast your vote. Coming up next, we're going to read some of your viewer comments, so don't go anywhere.
And welcome back to Daily Wrap. Let's read some of your viewer comments, always interesting. First up, we have a comment from Rick, no K on there, just R-I-C, about Walmart. He says, quote, at Walmart, if the employees meet certain goals, they get a bonus. It can be money to gift cards. If they get money, they can make an additional $150. And if they work holidays, they can make double pay for that day. My mama, not mother, mama, works at Walmart, and very shortly she'll be getting an employee discount card for everything she buys, and she'll be able to get holiday pay for Black Friday and all other holidays. Well, that's tremendous.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
Okay.
Rick. We appreciate that comment. And I love Walmart. And who doesn't love Buffett as far as the business that he's created for so many jobs for Americans in this country?
Did you say Buffett?
Yeah, who's
the
Walmart
family.
Oh.
The Walton family.
What does Buffett own?
Everything else.
Like Berkshire Hathaway, Berkshire Hathaway and everything else like that. I got my Midwest moguls mixed up.
And
Okay,
actually,
Rick, take the next one.
I don't love Walmart. But next we have a comment from Russell who says, wish Unger would sleep through every daily rap. Me too. He tries to dominate the conversations and opinions at every opportunity, and aside from being extremely distracting to the show, he is very frustrating for your listeners. Rick, shut up. Russell, ain't gonna happen. Sorry, dude.
The caps are a nice touch. You know, that really ends it at the end. Here's the thing. The people that write these things don't realize, right, but they're becoming addicted to you. You're like a fungus. You're growing on them, and they won't be able to get rid of the Unger.
They won't be able to get rid of the
Unger. The Unger.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Now
what
I'm
we should start
upset.
saying that
The
all the
fungus,
time.
the funger. Okay, Rick, don't feel so bad, because here's a comment from Allison, Alllyson, who says, I watch the show and really like it, but I have to ask, are the majority of comments about people not liking Rick Unger? Yeah. I don't get it. His points are articulate, his knowledge of subjects impressive, and despite what some conservative viewers may believe, the guy deserves credit for how he makes points. He's not bombastic and maintains dignity and grace in answering tough questions. Looks like the check cleared. He isn't even a hardliner. Why can't conservatives see that as a little pull and push is philosophically the best for all? Keep inviting smart liberals on and give one of them a show, for gosh sakes. Rick Unger, the ego must be overwhelming.
Thanks, Mom. You can have all of your meds next month now. Okay.
Wow. So
that was very nice, Allison. I don't know how to respond. I don't get mail like that very often.
Right?
Yes, but thank you. I do appreciate it.
You're a pragmatist.
I like to think so.
Okay.
Russell would obviously take exception with that.
See, look at your point. You're focusing on Russell instead of just thinking about Allison's nice thing.
I've already said. I actually, I will tell you, I saw this earlier, and I sent Allison a note.
Oh, I love that. See that?
That's classy.
What a guy.
Kind of guy I am, man.
Very nice.
You got the next one from Jesse.
Oh, I do, don't I? Here is a comment from Jesse about the debate last night. I love the Daily Wrap. I thought Donald Trump was amazing last night, but Fox really tried to take him down. You know, obviously there are people who feel that way. We're hearing a lot of that today. The one criticism I think may be fair. There were personal questions thrown at him about the bankruptcy, about the comments, this and that. And I suppose there could have been more personal questions to some of the other candidates.
Or fewer to him.
I don't know about fewer to him. I think they were all very relevant. But I can't accept that maybe there are others.
You know what this does?
said Marco Rubio didn't get hassled about his mortgage problems, so it's fair.
You know what this does? It creates what Trump wants, which is an us versus them mentality.
Yeah.
He is the anti-politician and he's anti-media, and you would think Fox, you know, because they lean right, that they would be on his side now. He could even see, look, even they're after me. He gets to play the victim.
Carl correctly said, I think before the show started, you said that had those questions not happened, he probably wouldn't have gotten all that much play.
Right, but also I think the fact is that they want these questions asked because right now Trump's biggest hit is that he's not coming out with policies. So if they continue to ask him personal questions, he doesn't have time. Well, he doesn't have time to put out policies.
Very good
and they believe that long term that's going to hurt him.
That's a very good point.
I think that's true.
Well,
he
finally,
should hire me. I'm his biggest fan.
Well, you're playing golf with him.
You're playing golf with him next week.
Have a chat.
Hopefully.
Breaking news. Finally, here's one from Sarah who says, I thought the big winner last night at the debate was Carly Fiorina. Do you think she could win? Let me say this. This is my little prediction. If Trump, as Mr. Higbee believes, gets the nomination, his VP pick will be Carly Fiorina. To business people, anti-Washington, candid, know how to fight and scrap, that's the pick if Trump gets the nomination. Heather.
I think he would need somebody who has a little bit more knowledge of how to do something in government. I think the others may be well served by picking Carly Fiorina because
Well, name cabinet members, and that will reassure people that he has the right people around him.
It's hypothetical beyond responsible response. It's never going to happen.
But what do you think of her? What do you think of her for VP for some of the others?
Oh, I can understand why they might. I mean, I think the more perfect ticket is that candidate from Ohio and that candidate from Florida, whoever they may be. But
yeah, that makes a lot of
Trump
sense.
Rubio, unbeatable.
Trump Rubio. Or
Never
Trump
gonna
Kasich.
happen, dude.
Kasich Rubio.
Why not Kasich? Quickly.
I just don't like Drake. I just don't like him.
Okay, very good. Well, remember, if you want to weigh in on any of these issues, we'll talk later, Carl. We'll talk about it here on the show. Be sure to go to newsmaxtv.com/comments right there and let us know what you think. Up next, it's time for Yay or Nay. Happy time. This is the Daily Wrap. It's Friday. Happy time, people. It's time for Yay or Nay here at the Daily Wrap. First up, some say Donald Trump performed great last night. Others, not so much. Either way, he dominated on the Google search front. As this Google Trends map shows, Mr. Trump is the most searched GOP candidate across the country. Wow, look at that. That's dominating, all right. Okay, and by the way, Carly Fiorina took 48 of 50 states following the GOP debate. The only one she lost for Alaska to Rick Perry. Why, I don't know. And then Bobby Jindal lost Louisiana, where he's been a two-term governor. Like, people were looking at
But not a very popular one.
Yeah, apparently not. Point is that Trump and Fiorina won at least the social media search part, which I found interesting with Trump because it's already a name brand.
Which is the majority of our voting bloc these days, too, with my generation coming up.
That's true. What do you know? You just turned 31?
Two.
Good for you. And Heather's
on my way to Rick.
That's right.
Excellent.
Dude, I've lapped you.
So, anybody surprised by this? We'll just go through this quickly.
No.
A little surprised because I thought people knew his name. You know, I thought that enough people. Carly, I'm not surprised by, but Trump, you would think that people would know. Maybe they're just trying to find out where are his policies.
Yeah, I think people are just interested to hear what he's going to say next on Twitter.
Right, that's true. And he was tweeting a lot out today.
It was,
Megyn
the focus was on him last night, and when the focus is on you and you're watching a debate and your computer's in your lap, you just do an entry, and that's what it is.
Oh, by the way, a little tidbit I'll share here with the audience as well. Donald Trump is so angry at Megyn Kelly for the questions that she asked. He will be on Don Lemon's show tonight. Why is that significant? Because Don Lemon goes up against Megyn Kelly at 9 o'clock on CNN. So just saying, it's Irish amnesia where you forget everything but the grudge. Right. So Trump's saying, oh, Don, hey, I'd love to do your show. Anyway, do all of you remember this from last night?
So what'd you get from Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi?
Well, I'll tell you what. With Hillary Clinton, I said, be at my wedding, and she came to my wedding. You know why? She had no choice because I gave.
Well, apparently Mrs. Clinton didn't think the invitation was purely business. As her communications director, Jennifer Palmieri, said, who watched the debate at the Clinton campaign headquarters, glad somebody did, with a slew of reporters last night, dismissed the idea as ridiculous, adding, quote, that hurts her feelings. She thought he wanted her to be there. Why did he invite her? Does this prove Hillary Clinton is human after all? Yay or nay, Hanson?
No, how does she know that's what Hillary's feelings were hurt? Hillary was off with the Kardashians. She was the one watching the debate.
Hillary only has one cell phone, and she used it to call her.
My feelings are hurt. Yeah. That's what you should let people know. I have my feelings about today.
And that's not classified.
Right.
Don't ever refer to Hillary as a human ever again.
Oh,
she's
stop
not.
it.
She's evil.
Okay.
Stop it. Stop it.
Transitioning. Finally tonight, the candidates on stage last night were not the only people at odds with one another. MSNBC debate night co-host Joe Scarborough and Chris Matthews got into it over whether or not GOP candidate Carly Fiorina was right in calling Hillary Clinton a liar during the 5 p.m. debate yesterday. At the end of the segment, Chris Matthews had a warning for MSNBC viewers.
Anyway, thank you, Joe Scarborough, who owns the morning. Beware, the vampire rises at dawn. Yeah.
The vampire rises at dawn. Wow. Tension at MSNBC. You're on that network from time
Did
to
you
time.
happen to notice they were laughing hysterically?
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Yeah. There was a time where Keith Olbermann told Joe Scarborough to go get a shovel, and it was said maliciously.
Oh, yeah.
And they never appeared together again.
I think that's right. But you know what? We got lots of news. We don't have to make it up by pretending they're warring when they were laughing.
Yeah. But it was awkward. Did you watch the whole thing? I mean, listen, they were laughing, but I was like, move on. Stop fighting with one another and let's talk about something.
Do you think it was fair, or do you think it was right for Carly Fiorina to call Hillary Clinton a liar? I think it's fine. I don't see why we have to avoid that word in political discourse, but either she lied or she didn't. I hate it when people say, well, it was an invalid truth, or she misled. Is lie fair game, Heather?
Absolutely.
Carl, rhetorical question.
If it is, it's going to be the most used word in politics.
It will.
Because they're all
You
liars.
think it's not a fair word?
Oh, no, I think it's fine. But they're all liars,
Sure.
so it's going to
Sure,
be used
right.
a lot.
But you notice that people avoid that word so much.
No, I know.
They always go with mislead.
But it's because they don't want to be called a liar.
Right.
Oh, is that
Yeah.
why?
Sure.
They're seen as hypocrites then.
It's kind of one of
Glass
those
houses.
understandings. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, overall, this is why we get into the business, right? That was great political theory, and we get to talk about it afterwards.
And we'll still be talking about it
As long
next
as you
week.
guys realize
This
that
is
I'm
true.
right, we can just move on from there. So.
Okay.
Bad news for you.
Well, that's all for tonight. I'm Joe Concha on behalf of Rick Unger and the rest of our panel. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. Heading to the Jersey Shore, Rick. I know Heather is. I am.
You have to stretch now, don't you?
Yes, I do.
And if I say that enough times,
The Steve Ballsberg Show. That's next.